Good evening and welcome. This is the board meeting of the Olentangy School Board, and a special welcome to our children's chorus that's joining us this evening. So if you would, Becky, would you please call the roll?
Ms. Dunbar, here. Mr. King?
Yes.
Mr. O'Brien?
Here.
Ms. Fiesel? Here. Mr. White?
Here. And would you all please stand and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. I believe we have one change for the agenda, Dr. Lucas, and then we could have a motion to accept the agenda.
I do have one change. It would be under Superintendent Action Item Section B, Classified Staff. It would be Item 6. We have 3 individuals that we're originally asking to accept resignations. I would like to pull Michelle Cox off of the agenda. So we will not be accepting her resignation this evening. That would be Superintendent Action Item Section B, Item 6, Michelle Cox.
With that adjustment, a motion please to approve the agenda.
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Any discussion? Would you call the roll please?
Ms. Dunbar? Yes. Ms. Fiesel? Yes. Mr. O'Brien?
Yes.
Mr. White?
Yes.
Mr. King?
Yes. And again, we have special guests this evening. This is the Liberty Tree Elementary Children's Chorus, and they're going to perform 2 numbers for us this evening. They're comprised of 80, 3rd, and 4th, and 5th grade students, and it's nice to see you all here. And the chorus is directed by Lori Walls, and Andrew Brown, with piano accompanied by Melissa Allen. And they're going to perform, again, 2 pieces. This Shall Be for Music and The Journeys. So, Ms. Walls, if you would, please. The board's president report this evening will be a great use of an opportunity here to do our recognitions for students for academic and extracurricular achievements, and also to recognize recipients of the Olentangy Community Service Awards. So we will begin that. Are you ready?
Yeah.
Kids.
Each year, the Olentangy Board of Education recognizes students and staff members for their outstanding achievements in co-curricular, extracurricular, and athletic activities. This year, we have nearly 100 students, coaches, and advisors to congratulate. As I announce each person's name, please walk up to receive your award and have your photo taken with Board President Dave King and Superintendent Wade Lucas. Those photos will be delivered to you through your school or by mail in the next few weeks. Starting with music, the board is pleased to recognize some outstanding music students this evening. Our district is proud of the vocalists and musicians earning state-level honors over the past year. From Olentangy High School, achieving all-state choir are Tyler Campbell and Elena Geisting. achieving All-State Orchestra, also from Olentangy High School, Blake Geisting, Laura Champa, and Ryan Thede. Now I'd like to invite Olentangy Orchestra Director Michelle Moss to come forward. Would like to recognize both the blue and gold orchestras for each earning superior ratings during the state contest. The board also congratulates Ian Birun and the Olentangy High School Marching Band and Symphonic Band for both earning superior ratings at the state contest. From Liberty High School, we'd like to recognize and congratulate the following students for their musical achievements. For achieving All-State Choir, Haley Meyer. Lauren Falk and Ann Talek. For achieving All-State Orchestra, Christina Zhang, Jordan Shore, Sean DeLeon, Alec Fleming, and David Vinson. Additionally, Sean DeLeon and Alec Fleming were also recognized as part of the American String Teachers Association National Orchestra, and David Vinson was included in the National Association of Music Education National Orchestra. I'd like to invite Jill Bixler to come forward and be recognized for both the Liberty and Patriot Orchestras, as each orchestra earned superior ratings during the state contest this year. We'd also like to congratulate Travis Hicks and the Liberty High School Winterline for their second place finish in state finals, as well as being honored as world champion semifinalists. Finally, the board recognizes choir director Doug O'Neill and the Liberty High School Varsity Chorale and Choraliers and Women's Chorus for all achieving superior ratings at the state contest this year. Turning to Orange High School's music students, I'm pleased to recognize and congratulate the following students. For achieving All-State Choir, Joseph Chekhanoff, Sarah Saudi, and Kendra Stevenson. For achieving All-State Orchestra, Linda Quinn. Now I'd like to invite Orange High School Orchestra Director Laura Cornett to come forward to be recognized for the Orange High School Concert Orchestra, who earned a superior rating during state contests. The board also congratulates Cheryl Brooks, Orange High School Choir Director, and the Orange High School Choraleers and Varsity Singers for both achieving superior rankings at the state competition this year. Moving to academic awards in math, all of Olentangy's 5 middle schools participate in the national program Math Counts. Math Counts is a B-style competition held in all 50 states. For the first time in district history, we had a team compete at the state tournament. Join me in congratulating Hyatt Middle School's Math Counts advisor, Doug Gibby, as his team placed 6th in the state competition this year. In forensics in speech, each year our high school students in forensics and speech participate in numerous competitions. This year, the Olentangy High School forensics team, advised by Jeffrey Luxemburger, was a state tournament qualifier in the high school forensics team competition. In addition, Orange High School student Adam Mangan excelled in speech competition. Adam was district champion and also earned 2nd place in the state in the American Legion Ohio High School oratorial, easy for me to say, contest. In visual arts, our district is fortunate to have some very talented artists in our midst. The following students from Liberty High School were selected to be exhibitors at the Ohio Governor's Youth Art Exhibition. Kaylee Dorsey, Lydia Edwards, Gina Pisto, and Madison Stanley. In addition, the following students from Orange High School have been recognized for their excellence in art. Congratulations to Cassandra Pax, exhibitor at the Ohio Governor's Youth Art Exhibition, and John Wills, Silver Key Award winner at the National Scholastic Art Awards. Finally, one student from Liberty High School was selected as an exhibitor at the 2012 National Ceramics K-12 Art Show. Please join me in congratulating Allison Puchala for this honor. Olentangy Schools has a rich history of having a strong DECA program. Over the past 20 years, district students have been leaders at the state and national level in DECA competition as well as in fundraising. All 3 high schools actively participated in the DECA program this year and continue the tradition of exceptional involvement in DECA. Congratulations to the following advisors and DECA groups for outstanding performance in competition. Eric Wells, advisor for Olentangy High School, and Mike Rees, advisor for Liberty High School. In addition, we're pleased to recognize Crystal Shanahan and the Orange High School DECA students for receiving the Golden Store certification. The following Olentangy High School students all placed in the national top 10 for their projects: Nicole Ham and Jennifer Oliveri. And the following Liberty High School students received the National DECA Champion Award for their projects: Brody Blaine, Jenny Danker, Carolyn Felice, and Matthew Lennon. As well as John McKay and Alyssa Miller. Another area in which all three of our high schools excel is journalism. This year, the news magazine and yearbook from each of our schools earned state honors. We would like to have the advisors for each school accept the following awards on behalf of their student journalists. Jessica Rhodes from Olentangy High School, as they achieved the OSMA second place yearbook for the Golden Arrow. Tracy Ward from Liberty High School as they achieved the OSMA second place news magazine for the Canon. And finally, Karen Phillips from Orange High School receiving the OSMA first place news magazine for the Courier and OSMA first place yearbook for the Bronze Bayonet. Please also join me in congratulating the following students who successfully earned superior ratings at the Ohio Scholastic Media Association contest this past year. From Liberty High School, Ellen DuPont, Tori England, Alora Hernandez, Evan Joseph, Judd Krawczyk, and Taylor McCarthy. From Orange High School, Emily Ennis and Mary McLean. As we continue to honor our students, we now turn to recognizing our student athletes. Many students have received individual honors in their sports. The board congratulates the following students. From Olentangy High School, Bridget Boyle, individual state qualifier in gymnastics. Trevor Ferrucci, second place state wrestling tournament. Anthony Fosco, state qualifier in wrestling. Colleen McHugh, individual state qualifier in gymnastics. Joshua Perry, second team All-State football. He's at school at Ohio State. Alec Steinmans, state qualifier in wrestling. And Brian Young, 7th place state wrestling tournament. From Liberty High School, Nicholas Archer, first team All-State basketball and OCC Player of the Year. Olivia Ball, first team All-State diver and Division I state champion diver. Olivia Bentley, state swim meet qualifier. Alexandra Clay, first team All-State diver and 5th place state diving meet. Roy Daniels, first team All-State wrestling and state wrestling champion. Luke Fleming, first team All-State wrestling and 5th place state wrestling tournament. Jacqueline Hayes, first team All-State gymnastics and 4th place state gymnastics meet in the beam. Andrew Johnston, first team All-State cross country and 5th place state cross country meet. James Pappas, second team All-State cross country and 14th place state cross country meet. Jake Ryan, first team All-State wrestling, 7th place state wrestling tournament. Michael Shiner, state bowling tournament qualifier. From Orange High School, we have Connor Borton, state wrestling tournament qualifier. Anna Sanford, state qualifier in tennis. And Brandon Schoen, first team All-Ohio football. Our student athletes are led by fantastic coaches and mentors, many having received team and coaching honors this year. Join me in congratulating the following coaches and teams from Olentangy High School. Coach John Fiesel, who led the Olentangy High School girls basketball team to an OCC championship and district runners-up. The Olentangy Lady Braves also earned state honors for high academic achievement. Coach Drew Zellers, who led the Olentangy High School girls soccer team this year and was named OCC Coach of the Year. Turning to Liberty High School's award-winning teams and coaches include Coach Rick Collins, who led the boys Liberty High School soccer team to regional and district championship titles, and the team also achieved state runners-up. Coach Steve Hale led the Liberty High School football team to the OCC championship for the 2011 season. Coach Lori Carr was recognized as the OCC Cardinal Coach of the Year. Coach Greg Nossaman, who led the Liberty High School boys basketball team to an OCC championship. The team also received state honors for high academic achievement. Coach Nossaman was also recognized as the Central District Coach of the Year and the OCC Coach of the Year. Coach Jared Mills led the Liberty High School boys cross-country team to an OCC and regional championship and an overall 7th place at the state meet. Coach Mills was also named the OCC Coach of the Year and the District Coach of the Year. Orange High School's successful athletic seasons were highlighted by the following accomplishments. Coach John Betts led the Orange High School boys basketball team in a successful season and was named OCC Coach of the Year. Coach Brian Cross led the Orange High School football team to an OCC championship and was also recognized as OCC Coach of the Year. Coach Marianne Grimes' Orange High School girls basketball team was OCC champions this year, and Marianne earned the title of OCC Coach of the Year. Finally, Tim Pennington coached the Orange High School boys ice hockey to both the district championship and the Frozen Four. On behalf of the board, I would once again like to extend our congratulations to the many outstanding students, coaches, and advisors recognized this evening. Coach Zellers from the Olentangy girls soccer team. Now we turn to the recognition of the Olentangy Community Service Awards. So the Olentangy Board of Education established the Community Service Awards in 1986 to honor residents of the community who have had an impact on our children's education through their volunteer efforts and monetary or in-kind donations. The following is a list of those award winners and some of the direct comments made by those who nominated them. We'll start with Megan Bell from Johnny Cake Corners Elementary. Megan brings her certified therapy dogs to school once or twice a week to listen to 1st and 2nd grade students read. She and the dogs also participated in the school's readathon event. Megan is always willing to give extra time if other volunteers can't make their scheduled time. She's an advocate of Johnny Cakes Elementary School and an exemplary volunteer. Shannon Marie Berry from Cheshire Elementary. Shannon Marie Berry has made several positive contributions to the Cheshire Elementary School in her role as PTO president. Shannon Marie has been focused on providing high-quality programming to engage students, parents, and other community members. She helps to lead Cheshire in a positive direction, and the school is thankful for her leadership. Lisa Billings from Wyandotte Run Elementary. Lisa has been Wyandotte Run Elementary School PTO president for 3 years. She's done an outstanding job supporting students, staff, and the school community. She's given of herself above and beyond what is expected of a PTO president. Grace Brumfield from Johnny Cake Corners Elementary. Grace and her therapy dog Annie spend every Friday morning listening to second grade students read at Johnny Cake Corners Elementary. Grace's love of children shows in the extra learning tools she makes to use with the students and in countless extra hours she donated during the school's readathon. Grace is truly amazing and a special volunteer. Kathy Bulkley, nominated by Tyler Run Elementary. Kathy Bulkley has been an active volunteer at Tyler Run Elementary School for 5 years. She's been a wonderful asset to the school community, especially the art program. Kathy has spent countless hours helping prepare materials for art projects, creating displays to showcase student artwork, and helping with the preparations for the annual art show. Kathy always steps up to assist at Tyler Run whenever necessary and will be greatly missed as she moves to the middle school with her triplets, Lauren, Abby, and Jack. Sarah Carsili, Alum Creek Elementary. Sarah serves on the Alum Creek Elementary PTO board and many of its committees. Sarah photographs more than 300 pieces of artwork each week at Alum Creek and uploads them to the Artsonia website so the students' extended families can view their work. To date, she's uploaded photos of more than 10,000 pieces of artwork. Sarah also helps the staff, is trustworthy, honest, and represents Alum Creek in a very positive way. Karen Clark, nominated by Wade Lucas. Karen Clark took on the difficult and time-consuming role of redistricting committee co-chair this year. Karen's professional background in change management and her exceptional leadership skills were instrumental in conducting a successful redistricting process. Karen's passion for Olentangy schools and the best interest of all students was evident throughout this multi-month process. Donna Dill from Glen Oak Elementary. Donna stepped up to be the Glen Oak Elementary School PTO president this year. Donna goes above and beyond by organizing volunteers for every event, participating in every event, and thinking outside the box regarding fundraising, student celebration, and community involvement. Glen Oak Elementary is a better place because of her unselfish service. Frances Gardner from Sarada Ridge Elementary. Fran Gardner has been an active parent volunteer at both Sarada Ridge Elementary School in our district for many years. Her mantra is, if you want to make a difference, be part of a committee, help out, and have a voice. And she does just that. Fran currently serves as the PTO president and was also part of the Elementary Redistricting Committee and has served on Olentangy for Kids. Tracy George from Berkshire Middle School. Tracy George has been a valued volunteer for many events at Berkshire Middle School. She's graciously volunteered many hours for events involving students, staff, and the community. Corrine Gillum from Orange High School. Corrine volunteers at Orange High School in the main office, student services, attendance office, and is a door greeter. She spent many hours volunteering her time over the past few years to help make the office environment at Orange High School the best it can be. Corrine also gives of her time to help out with our athletic boosters and athletic programs. She's kind, helpful, resourceful, and very unselfish. Kelly Green from Tyler Run Elementary. Kelly has been very involved with our PTO for the last 7 years. She served on the PTO as the walkathon chair, book room chair, and directory organizer. She's been our PTO president for the last 2 years. Kelly is an energetic volunteer and invaluable to Tyler Run. Linda Grubbs from Berkshire Middle School. Mrs. Grubbs worked numerous hours preparing and selling concessions for Berkshire athletic events. Her enthusiasm, positive attitude, and reliability are amazing. Lisa Hines from Orange High School. Mrs. Hines is an amazing volunteer who helps out in our student services office as well as in the attendance office. She also assists by putting our scrolling announcements together for students to view. Mrs. Hines has a positive attitude and always willing to pitch in where needed at Orange High School. Mark Ionata, nominated by Wade Lucas. Mark graciously agreed to co-chair the Elementary Redistricting Committee this past year. Having chaired a number of previous redistricting committees in the past, Mark brought a vast amount of experience and knowledge to this project. Mark's leadership and experience were critical in ensuring the process was a success. Marilyn Jacobsmeyer of Wyandotte Run Elementary. Marilyn has been an asset to Wyandotte Run Elementary since they moved to Powell. She's participated in PTO by being secretary and vice president. She's helped Wyandotte Run students with service projects. The largest project was participating with Carter's Children's Clothing to make origami swans, which help provide clothing to tsunami victims. Donna Clay Bundy at Orange High School. Donna is always willing to help out when needed. She works in student services, attendance, the main office, and assists with special projects. She also works with our Performing Arts Department, volunteering many hours a year for the students and staff of Olentangy Orange High School. Donna is very polite, warm, and welcoming. Donna Lemons from Hyatt's Middle School. Donna is a retired intervention teacher who has been volunteering her time at Hyatt's Middle School 2 days per week since September of 2010. Donna comes into Hyatt's and supports our 6th and 7th grade intervention teachers in working with students. Melissa Lineberry from Freedom Trail Elementary School. Melissa is one of the most dedicated parents that I've ever met. She truly lives and breathes Freedom Trail Elementary. She wants nothing but the best for all stakeholders in Olentangy. Donna Martinez from Tyler Run Elementary School. Donna was the assistant treasurer for 2 years and then moved on to be the PTO treasurer for the following 2 years. She has also served as a representative for the parent team program. Donna has been a meticulous treasurer and has met the needs of the parents and staff at Tyler Run in a professional and very timely manner. She's been a wonderful volunteer and is a tremendous asset to Tyler Run. Angela Morris at Arrowhead Elementary School. Angela can frequently be found at school. She's currently co-president of the Arrowhead PTO. She's a tireless worker that is involved in many events at the school. She co-chairs the book fair, book room, fit-a-thon, and is involved in countless other PTO and school events. Sharon Nelson, Berkshire Middle School. Sharon has been a true asset to our school system. She volunteers many hours to make programs successful and raise funds to benefit our children. Her time spent with our school is appreciated. Shelley Quillen, Scioto Ridge Elementary School. Shelley volunteers countless hours to our school. She gives of herself to make our school a better place for kids. Teresa Sherman of Berkshire Middle School. Mrs. Sherman worked numerous hours preparing and selling concessions for Berkshire athletic events. Her enthusiasm, positive attitude, and reliability are amazing. Vicki Shear of Hyatt's Middle School. Vicki has volunteered her translation services for numerous conferences and meetings this year. She uses her background in education and her knowledge of the Spanish language to facilitate relaxed and open communications between school and home. She goes above and beyond for our families, often giving out her own phone number to use if they would have a question that arises after the meeting. She is an incredible resource for the Olentangy local schools. Alexander Wada, who is a student and nominated by Hyatt's Middle School. Alex is a junior from Liberty High School who comes to Hyatt's Middle School 2 days a week to work with our seventh grade intervention teacher. He helps students with homework, studying for tests, and is a peer leader with our intervention students. And last but not least, Sandra Yothers of Oak Creek Elementary School. Sandra is very dedicated to the schools and the Boy and Girl Scouts. She always helps with all activities at school. She caters staff dinners for conference nights and staff lunch appreciation, which are always delicious and well received. She also chairs the Walkathon, which is a major fundraiser for the PTO.
Thank you, Kevin. Of course, you are all welcome to stay for the rest of the board meeting. If you have other things to do at home, by all means, feel free to leave. We will be going into executive session momentarily. We will have board action, superintendent and treasurer action items after we come out of executive session. So with that, if we can have a motion and a second to enter an executive session as permitted by section 121.22 G4 of the Ohio Revised Code for the purpose of preparing for, conducting, or reviewing negotiations or bargaining sessions with public employees, and as permitted by section 121.22 G1 of the Ohio Revised Code to consider the employment and compensation of public employees. Could we have a motion and a second, please?
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? If you would, please, Becky.
Ms. Feasel? Yes. Mr. O'Brien?
Yes.
Ms. Dunbar? Yes. Mr. White?
No.
Mr. King?
Yes. Do you have the time, Becky?
I do. 6:55 p.m.
Very good. We will be coming back after executive session. Thank you. Thank you very much for your patience, and we will come back into a regular session. Becky, do you have the time, please?
7:18 p.m.
Thank you. And then with that, Dr. Lucas, if you're ready for the superintendent's report.
I am. And again, for those of you that stayed, thank you so much for staying. It is one of our favorite meetings of the year because I think I'm going to end the superintendent's report with the fact that we are going to approve the list of seniors that will be graduating. I believe the number is 970 this year. So we continue to grow. And the other side of that, of course, is the fact that we have roughly 1,400 or so first graders. So, you know, as they say, that bubble is still moving through. We have so many good things going on. If you haven't read about the Newsweek and the U.S. News and World Report and the Washington Post, It's in here, so we're going to talk about it a little bit. First and foremost, we'll talk about the U.S. News and World Report. And again, if you have followed our listservs, you should know the fact that we are the only multiple high school district in Central Ohio that has all of our high schools in each one of these 3 reports. Of course, with U.S. News and World Report, we have 3 of the top 6 high schools in the area. All 3 high schools ranked among the top 20 in the state of Ohio, and all 3 high schools ranked in the top 400 nationally. Now, once again, out of nearly 22,000 high schools, all 3 of our high schools are in that top 400. So that's quite an accomplishment. But again, I think we say this and we'll continue to say this. These reports and all 3 measure something a little bit different in each one, but all 3 is a direct reflection of the type of programs we have starting at the 3 to 5 age, preschool, and they of course go into the elementary levels, onto the middle school level, onto the high school. So these reports are really a measurement of the journey that our kids take through a school system. Now, again, I would challenge anyone in this area to show that type of achievement and accomplishment for multiple high schools, and as far as that goes, any high school. The Newsweek rankings, I believe they came out last week. 3 of the top 5 high schools in the area consisted of our 3 high schools. All 3 ranked in the top 15 high schools in the state of Ohio, and all 3 ranked in the top 300 nationally. The Washington Post rankings, 3 of the top 4 high schools in the area, all ranked in the top 8 in the state of Ohio, and all ranked in the top 300 nationally. So I think that's something that we can all be proud of. Why does that happen? Well, there are several reasons. First and foremost, I think you can't say enough about the staff that we have here, both certified and classified. They understand what kids need, and they are there to serve kids, and they do just a great job. Mix that in with the fact that we have great students, evidenced by the fact that we continue to grow. This is a district of destination for our students and their parents. We have great parents that set very high expectations. And of course, when you look at the idea of percentage of population that is college educated, I think tops in the area is Upper Arlington at around 70%, but we continue to creep up. And again, those parents see this as a district of destination, and we're very proud of that fact. So we have what you would call the perfect storm: a great staff, great parents, great kids, and a community that supports the school system. Along with that, if you were here this past weekend, you may have been part of this Olentangy Relay for Life. Those are the pictures on the bottom of this slide. Raised $99,000 for the American Cancer Society. Again, this is one of multitudes of volunteer groups in our community and in our school system. And of course, this is the Olentangy Stadium, as you can see on the left, and that was as things were getting dark in the area. That's the crowd with the lights. So we're very proud of that fact also. Battelle for Kids, as you know, we're part of Battelle for Kids. That's the value-added group made up of the Business Roundtable here in Columbus. And they have a Celebrate Teaching, for lack of a better term, study. And they recognize 83 of the highly effective teachers in the state of Ohio that's part of that group, that SOAR group. And of those 83 highly effective teachers, 29 of those teachers, or 35%, reside and teach and work in the Olentangy school system. And there's the group. Now, does that mean we only have 29 great ones? No, these are 29 of the best, as they say, in regard to value added, meaning how much growth, yearly growth, do we add to a student's education. And again, we're very proud of these individuals. I know some of them personally. They teach my kids. You may know some of them personally. And again, we're very proud of the fact that 35% of those individuals reside here. I did get a letter from Jim Mahoney from Battelle. He's the executive director, and he continues to rave about the fact that we are very fortunate in this school system to have individuals such as this list and our 1,150 others working with our kids. So we're very proud of that fact. I'm not going to say a whole lot about Jonathan. You got to meet Jonathan this evening. He raised more than $60,000, but I will say something about the cause. I don't think, just from a personal standpoint in my life, it doesn't get any better to work for the cause of cancer prevention. We're very, very lucky to have Jonathan, and again, so many other staff members that go above and beyond the call of duty and volunteer their time, and that's what makes the community a community like Olentangy, and we're very appreciative of Jonathan. He is the Man of the Year, by the way, and that's a very, very prestigious honor. We also have a student at Arrowhead, Ella Terry, won the Regional Invention Convention. Her project was Mr. Lungs, which conceals the asthma inhaler for travel and sleepovers, and with that goes a $2,500 scholarship. So we're very proud of staff and students. Some hiring updates that you're going to see this evening on the agenda. One thing to realize, we're going to hire about 20 and a half teachers or so for enrollment growth. Now again, keep in mind, we're growing between 800 and 1,000 students every year. We will also hire another 32 or so to cover resignations and retirements that we'll probably be acting on from now until July 10th or so. We're going to hire 5 to cover leaves of absence, which leaves us with a potential of hiring 57.5 total positions this year, which is down considerably from years past. And that's part of that whole efficiency piece that we go through as a school district. We do have 12 teachers that will be part of this replacement on the agenda this evening. We anticipate filling approximately 50 of the 57.5 openings that we have. I'm going to ask Mr. Marsh to come forward in regard to the OTA agreement. I do want to say one thing before Mr. Marsh takes the microphone. This, of course, was a long process, as any negotiations would be, but as you know, negotiations continues to be a challenge, not just in Olentangy, but all places. We are happy to present on this agenda the contract for acceptance at the board level, and this whole process started from a strategic standpoint at the board level probably a year ago. It's just not something that we wake up and do. We constantly talk about negotiations, the strategies, where we want to be, and I'm very proud of not only the board for their guidance through this negotiation piece, but also the administration on the negotiating team, the OTA negotiation team, because we worked through some very challenging issues, and again, for our staff, because Becky and I were able to visit this staff starting in January to kind of talk a little bit about, frame this whole piece of this school district. I am proud of that partnership, and with that said and done, I'm going to ask Mr. Marsh to take you through this slide. And he's here, by the way, from a historical perspective. I've been here 3.5 years. He's been here 15. So with that, Mr. Marsh.
Good evening, board members, community. Dr. Lucas has asked me to talk just a little bit about the OTA tentative agreement that the board will be voting on this evening. Overall, with Becky, our treasurer's help, we project that over the life of this agreement, the district will save $13.4 million. That savings is a combination of the teachers in the district sustaining a step freeze in the first year of this contract and not recouping that step for the remainder 3 years. That's roughly $2.3 million of that savings. And then the rest of that balance of a little over $11 million comes from major changes to health insurance. I guess what I would say from a historical perspective, I've worked in the district, been blessed to work in the district for 15 years as a teacher and a principal, and now in the HR world. And this is the first time I can recall the teachers having a step freeze within the contract. Also, it's the first time in my memory of the ability to make major structural changes in insurance coverage, and I believe that's a partnership between the teachers, administration, and the community to come together to allow this agreement to help us stretch this levy to 4 years. So I'm very proud of that partnership. As far as those changes to health insurance, the current agreement does maintain the ability to have a PPO plan, but the PPO plan going forward will have significantly higher out-of-pocket costs. Teachers will also be able to choose, instead of going with the modified PPO, they can choose to move to a high-deductible health plan or HSA plan. And that's the key step in making the levy last 4 years. We have, over a number of years, continued to make staffing adjustments and efficiencies that also have to be made in addition to this contract to make this levy last 4 years. And those efficiencies, those search for being more efficient and fiscally responsible won't end, but this is a major piece as part of that. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Gail. Some more specific agenda items. We do have some administrative changes this evening. As you know, Brian Lytle is resigning from Orange Middle School as the principal. We are recommending Scott Cunningham this evening for the replacement at Orange Middle School as the principal. At Liberty Middle School, we have Principal Gina Williams is retiring. And we are recommending Michelle Blackley, who currently serves as the assistant principal at Orange High School, as that replacement. And last but not least, at Olentangy Meadows Elementary School, our assistant principal, Tanya Hawk, is resigning, and that replacement is recommended to be Jeremy Ross, and he comes to us from Dublin. So those are the changes that we are recommending on the agenda this evening from an administrative standpoint. We do have, once again, the reemployment of retirees. As you know, last month we had the public hearing, which is required by law for those individuals that are applying or requesting a retiree hire. And we will be presenting those two individuals, Carol Trimble and Dwight DeWeese, for reemployment this evening at a savings of approximately $40,000 per year. We do have extended service days on this contract. This is traditionally, as we all know, the largest agenda of the year, because this is when all the resignations and the employment of both teachers and coaches take place, any of the supplementals. So this one here, extended service days that we provide for individuals such as guidance counselors, this is something that we've worked through for the last 3 years that we've reduced considerably, and the remainder of those extended service days will be on this contract or this agenda for approval by the board. We also do approve every year our summer school program. Just a reminder, that is a self-funded program. What does that mean? That means that we charge tuition for those individuals that wish to take specific summer school courses, and the tuition paid by those individual students is what pays the supplemental or salaries of the instructors for those summer school programs. So that is on the agenda for approval. As you may recall, if you attended our work session last month, we talked extensively about student fees and the recommendation of the student fees, which we must recommend every year, is on this agenda. We also have the recommendation regarding lunch pricing. Again, this was a discussion that we had in work session at our last board meeting, and we are recommending a 20-cent increase. Common Core math materials also is another hot item that is on this agenda. Of course, we're going to the Common Core, and that's for grades K through 5, and Common Core is basically a curriculum or a standard that's about 45 states in our country have adopted, and we are one of those. We are gradually transitioning from the current state standards and the OAA tests into the Common Core. They actually do not take effect until, I believe, 2014-15, but we are already making that move. So for the next several years, we'll be making that transition. Just an FYI on this, in the Common Core math materials, our administration did have parent meetings with, at I believe, all 5 middle schools, and it went extremely well. They were well attended, and we had a lot of questions from parents regarding that jump, and that is on the agenda to purchase math materials for this Common Core. We also have the construction project of the Shanahan Middle School cafeteria. I don't know if you've ever eaten lunch in Shanahan, but if you don't have anything to do one day and you want to see something that's very efficient but is shrinking or almost seems to be shrinking, that's the Shanahan Middle School. So we do have to expand that piece because we want to get total efficiency out of that building. So that building is, the enrollment will continue to go up in that building, and along with that, we are expanding that cafeteria. I believe that project is about $128,000 to expand and take it to 3 lunch lines. Last but not least, as I said at the beginning, we have 970 seniors graduating June 2nd. Believe it or not, that's a week from Saturday. I would suggest, if you don't have anything to do, which believe me, I know we're all busy, take in one of those graduations. I had the pleasure to attend Senior Awards Night last week at all 3 schools. And again, when we go back to those Newsweek and U.S. News and World Report, my favorite part of those senior awards is when they put where our students are attending college. And say what you want about the school district, whether you like it, whether you dislike it, you cannot deny the fact that we have some of the brightest kids, because I'll throw some of these colleges and universities out. Stanford University, I believe we have 3 students attending Stanford, MIT, Duke, Carnegie Mellon, and the list goes on and on and on. And every year it's like that, and it absolutely amazes me. So we have quite the school district. We're ever changing, we're ever growing. Sometimes we make the news in a positive way, sometimes we make the news in a negative way. But if you really want to see what this school district's all about, come down on June 2nd, and I'll show you individuals that are going to guide this area, this state, and this nation into the next generation. And I have to tell you, when I sit there and I see these kids and talk to these kids and see what they're doing, it makes me feel pretty good for the future. And I hope you feel the same way. So with that said and done, I will entertain any questions that the board may have in regard to the superintendent's report.
Anybody have questions or comments?
Can you still pull items from the separately out of?
Yes.
Can we make a request right now?
We will do that when we go to the board action items later.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Lucas. And Gail, thank you. And we'll let him get his sheet.
You get the lights up?
Yeah. Let's watch them trip.
Let him see it.
Hey.
Ms. Jenkins, do you have a treasurer's report?
I will hold my comments to the discussion item.
Okay. And public participation, would you please give the speaking protocols, Becky?
Yes, we have 2 public participations, 30 minutes each. Each speaker has 5 minutes to speak. We ask that you come up to the podium so that we can record your comments and give your name and address.
And the first speaker is Jim Ciccarello, please.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes.
Very good. My name is Jim Ciccarello. I'm with the Olentangy Turf Committee, and the last time I was in to see you folks was a couple months back. We talked about being able to work together to provide turf fields for all three Olentangy high schools. Since then, we have changed plans, we rearranged plans, and we've kicked some plans out, but we have come up with a plan that we think is significant and shows the progress that we've made. And I wanted to just highlight a couple of things about it and possibly get your thoughts at some point. We have found a financier that will help us fund the turf committee over an 8-year period. And from a high level, just the basic points of what we're trying to do is we went back to the booster groups. And the booster groups from all three high schools have committed by hook or by crook, actually, about $50,000 each on an 8-year period basis, so $50,000 a year. If you keep that total in mind, we have already raised about $360,000. Divided across the three schools is $120,000 each, or about $15,000 per year. So the 50 plus the 15. We look at what we can expect to make with the addition of the actual fields, and right now, currently, we're not able to charge for JV or freshman games because all of those games are played, again, out on the practice fields because we don't want to mess up the actual grass on the turf. So we expect that we'll make easily a 5-year or $5,000 per year on the additional ticket and concessions revenue per school. Also with the fields, obviously we've talked probably ad infinitum about being able to provide different events that you can then handle on the fields, like middle school playoff tournaments, state playoffs, a number of things, community events that we've talked about. Being able to raise another $5K per year. And then we are still working on many loan or sponsor type activities that we expect that we'll be able to pull off over the course of this financing period. One of them being Nike. We are talking with them about a $50,000 input into the turf to have their Nike swoosh on the turf, actually. What we've come up with is that we're able to raise about $75,000 per year to finance, and that's per school, to finance the turfs. Depending upon how we work the financing, it could cost between $70,000 and $85,000 per year. So we are very, very close. And what we've tried to do is make it as easy on the board and the community to be able to say, yes, this is a viable project, and improve the actual position we have with being able to use our stadium. From a turf committee, we have paid and prepared the EPA and the SWPP permits, and to tell you the truth, we're ready to go if we can get some help from the board. And basically, we would like you to consider our plan, and I would be happy to give you the plan. I didn't want to overload you tonight with a booklet on what our plan is, but it's only 7 or 8 pages. You guys can read that while you're sitting here.
You have 1 minute.
We would welcome the opportunity to meet and discuss the plan with members of the board individually, but we need you to look at it very quickly because we have the capability to put 2 fields in this year if we move.
So if I can, clarifying statement. So I've been working with Jim and the turf committee, working through their plan, continuing to really kind of be impressed by the amount of progress in a fairly short period of time as kind of new financing structures come into place. So I would urge and ask the board to put this on the June work session, because I think they're ready to come back in June and lay out the plan in June, and then also consider kind of our vote of support at that same work session. So modify the agenda really for two things. One is to lay out the plan, and two is to kind of go up or down on the turf kind of once and for all.
Just as a clarifying question, would we get the plan ahead of time so that we can ask the appropriate questions at the work session?
Yeah, it would go out as the normal pre-read with the board materials, and of course, as Jim mentioned, any of the board members that wish to meet with the turf committee to walk through the plan in detail are more than welcome to. They've been very giving of their time in that regard. So.
Thank you, Jim.
Thank you.
And I'm sorry, I'll try to pronounce this as best I can, but Terry Uline? Uline?
Hi, I'm Terry Uline. I live at 9309 Gibson Drive, Powell, 43065. I have 3 children who attend Olentangy local schools. I have 2 sons at Hyatt's and 1 son at Liberty High School. And I have 2 things to address with the board tonight. The first I'd like to address has to do with school board member Adam White. While I appreciate the fact that Mr. White was elected to office by the community, it appears his unwillingness to work with the other board members and the superintendent has brought a great deal of negative attention to our community. I am very disappointed to hear that Mr. White is unwilling to meet his full commitment to the board by failing to serve on board committees. The committee work of the board is important and should be expected to be shared equally among all board members. Everyone has work commitments, and if he is unable to meet his full commitment to the board, maybe he should step aside so we can have full board representation on the board committees. Mr. White's accusations of menacing minivans, threats, and thugs appear to be completely unfounded. I've had the pleasure of working with Dr. Lucas on many community initiatives and have attended many of his community coffee chats. I have never met an administrator more willing to engage the community, provide information, listen to concerns, and then proactively work to make our district better. Mr. White, a team is only as strong as its weakest player, a chain only as strong as its weakest link. Try to find something positive to celebrate in this great district, rather than trying to destroy the entire system. The accomplishments of our students, staff, parents, and community should be honored instead of ridiculed. We have a great district, not a perfect district, but definitely a great one. Challenge for improvement, but try to do it in a manner that doesn't destroy the hopes and dreams of the committed students, staff, and parents. If you are not able to do this, I respectfully request that you resign from your board seat so that we can have a board member who is interested in supporting our path to becoming the best district in the state. Thank you. The second issue I just wanted to speak as a proponent for the turf project. The turf field will provide our athletes and music programs to have year-round access to our facilities. While the grass may be adequate at the start of the season, the conditions of our fields quickly deteriorate, and the field conditions become a detriment to our athletes. The turf fields also benefit indoor sports by making additional practice field space available in the spring season. So baseball, lacrosse teams that now struggle to find gym time during the preseason will be able to practice on the turf fields, which will make coordination of gym space a more manageable task. Students who are able to practice immediately after school are able to spend more time on their academic work after practice. The turf would also enable us to host tournaments. Please allow us to capitalize on the momentum of the turf project volunteers and allow this project to move forward as planned. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Hart, Tom Hart, please.
Good evening. I want to thank the board and Superintendent Lucas for the opportunity to talk here tonight. I'm going to keep my comments brief. Two of my comments were already addressed in the last two speakers. What I wanted to bring up, and this comes, my name is Tom again, Tom Hart, and I live at 7115 Scioto Chase Boulevard here in Powell. I'm just a taxpayer. I do have two grandchildren in the school system, so I'm obviously casually interested in what goes on here. And what I want to talk about is what the last speaker brought up, and that was what appears to be a dysfunction among the board members. And I don't know whether it's Mr. White or whether it's the other four board members. I'm not here to cast stones or to take sides. I've never met any of the board members. I met Adam White tonight for the first time. So I'm not here as a proponent of any board member or section. What I am here to say is that I served on a board in a district in Ohio that was dysfunctional. We had a board and a superintendent that was almost anti-teacher. Now, that is not the case here. Sometimes I get the feeling that the board is in the teachers union, okay? But, you know, I'm talking about what I read in the newspapers. I haven't come to very many meetings. I've been to 3, I think. I have a lot to learn about what goes on in the district. But what I want the board to think about is when you get in your head about a certain subject or a topic, you have to understand that the public watches that. And for whatever the reason, this board has attracted an awful lot of attention in the press, most of it negative, most of it going against all the good things that I've heard here tonight. This is an outstanding district, there's no doubt about it, but the board and the superintendent sets the pace for that. And if you continue to have this dysfunction among the board, when you get in your rooms and you talk about things, think about the students, think about the taxpayers. Board members are here to represent taxpayers' best interest. Superintendents are here to administer the system and help to produce the kind of achievements that we've heard about tonight. The board has to pull together. I don't think the solution is for one member to resign or put another member on that's going to be very conciliatory. There needs to be debate. All sections of the community have to be represented. And I can tell you, after serving on a board in the same situation that I see here, you can pull the community apart and you can cause all of the things we've heard to go unnoticed, because we're talking about security guards and all the things that the last speaker brought up. So this is a challenge to the board. All of you were elected by the taxpayers, and all of you have a responsibility to represent us. And you have a responsibility to work together. I don't know where the dysfunction's coming from, but it needs to be resolved, or everything else is going to be secondary to the board and the division that you're creating. So that's really all I want to talk about. Thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
And Ms. Rube, Tracy Rube, please.
Tracy Rugg, 245 Oakham Court, Powell. Thanks, Tom, for your remarks. One thing that I agree with, actually it's first and foremost, is that like-mindedness, everybody's opinion needs to be respected. Just because you're not of the majority doesn't mean that your opinion doesn't count. So that needs to be kept in mind. I do want to comment on a couple of things tonight, and I appreciate some of the concessions that the teachers union has made. However, there's a lot more that could be done with respect to the health care benefits, which is a huge chunk and worth millions of dollars in savings over a 3-year period of time, or costs, $3 million in costs. The public sector pays about 25% out-of-pocket overall responsibility when you include deductibles and co-payments. Most pay an average of $2,000 to $4,000 deductible, not the $1,250, which is agreed upon in this current proposal. That is the maximum out-of-pocket of the public sector. Most pay $20 co-pays for visits, not $15. One thing that the district could provide is 100% coverage for preventative care visits, because that will save dollars in the long run. So paying for well child visit at 100% is much better than paying for sick care. Most do not pay for adult children without an additional premium. I am a state worker, and it would be about $400 a month if I had a child aged 26 to 28. That is a requirement of the president's plan. However, presidents say that the district has to cover the cost. It has to be offered, and that's in the contract. So adult children really should be able to take care of their own premiums, and a $400 premium is certainly much better than some $1,000 premium that they may get offered from their employer. There's no incentive to use generic drugs after the deductible is met, and you can actually get drugs for $4 a month with no health insurance. So these are just some points about the current contract that could be made, changes that could be made that would save the district, several thousands, if not millions of dollars over the course of a 3-year contract. The second thing I want to talk about is transparency. I've been coming to meetings for almost 5 years. I've been asking, as well as some other the public has been asking for the district to be forthright, honest, and transparent with whom employs them, which is the public sector, the district taxpayer. You're not just a district taxpayer, you're a taxpayer and a citizen of this community. 58%, as I've said before, 58% of people in this district do not directly benefit from the school district. They are retirees, they are people that send their children to private schools. So everybody needs to be respected. Just because you have children in the district doesn't mean that your opinion matters more than somebody else who doesn't have a child in the schools. I particularly want to refer to Benjamin Marison's article in Sunday's Dispatch, May 21st, related to our transparency issue. It's entitled Legalistic Fog Can't Conceal Public Record. As everyone knows, our district has been in trouble with the state auditor, and we've been publicly embarrassed by the athletic director scandal. Whether it was intentional or unintentional, it's negative press. Now, on the heels of this, we find our school district and the administration in the news yet again. The Dispatch article reported that the district's attorney, Greg Scott, withheld disclosure of the OTA contract proposal from public disclosure via the Dispatch. The citizens of this district deserve more. They deserve honest transparency with all issues. To be advised by an attorney who is paid by the taxpayers, whose fees are paid by the taxpayers, to hide things and withhold information is unacceptable. And frankly, this attorney should be dismissed for this behavior. This is not the first time this has come up. The district administration and board need to clean up our reputation. It's an embarrassment to the students, to the citizens, and to the taxpayer. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Rube. Our next agenda item is the Treasurer's Report. Becky, would you like to speak to the second reading of the 5-year forecast and the general fund budget, please? That was a smart move.
Oh, I wondered where she was going.
She said
a lot easier.
Yeah.
This is the second reading of the forecast and the fiscal 13 general fund budget. The main changes that we made were those in the tentative agreement, so there are really only 2 areas that are affected. So I don't have a long presentation. Personnel services were reduced from $98.6 million to $97.4 million. And this is the general fund first year fiscal 13 budget, so that is not the cumulative effect. Retirement benefits were reduced from $41.3 million to $38.5 million, which gives a fiscal 13 general fund budget reduction of almost $3.9 million just next year. These reductions compound throughout the course of the 5-year forecast. We look at fiscal 15 because we've been talking about the levy making it 4 years, and that would be 4 years, and that results in over $13 million reduction or a positive swing in the ending cash balance. So moving on to the forecast in the two major areas again, personnel services. I've put on the slide October, the first May forecast, and then the second one, this current forecast that I'm presenting. You can see that each year in personnel services, while it is reduced, it's not the greatest impact to the 5-year forecast. The tentative agreements, and it will continue to increase because we're growing, obviously. And we still have costs associated. But the retirement benefits are the ones that actually makes a difference in the forecast. Not that the wages don't, but this has a greater impact. So you can see that the rate of increase is it's reduced, but it's still going up, and we will still have increases in the insurance. We are making changes that will reduce the cost. And as Mr. Marsh had said earlier, it's about $11 million over that 3-year period. But because we had such high usage this year, we will still see an increase in the premiums for next year and ongoing. So if you look at the projected unencumbered ending cash balance, it's much better now. In fiscal 15, which is again the year that we're focusing on, we have about a $5.3 million ending cash balance projected, provided all things stay the same. What I would like to say about this, though, I want us to be clear, $5.3 million is not an adequate ending cash balance, in my opinion. If you remember, when we were on the ballot in May of 2011, we were projecting a $22 million ending cash balance. So while this tentative agreement does a lot to get us closer to that 4-year promise, it does keep us solvent in through fiscal 15, but we have got to come up with additional reductions so that we increase that balance. Otherwise, we don't have a 4-year time commitment. Any questions? Yes, Mr. White.
One question. In 2014, we start operating at a loss if we don't use our cash reserves?
That is correct.
All right.
Yes, I didn't put that slide on here, but in the first 2 years of the forecast, we don't deficit spend, and by fiscal 14, we do. That is correct.
And just for clarification, I just want to clarify that this does not include any changes that might be made going forward with our other 2 contract negotiations.
That is correct. When I do the forecast, it's what I know and what we've enacted and what we think is coming down the pike. I really don't know how those other 2 union negotiations will go, so we have not built anything in the forecast for that.
Other comments? Thank you, Becky.
Thank you.
Let her get back to the seat. The other comments. Yeah, thanks. Public participation number 2. And these are regarding action items. So if you would please, Mr. Boss, Rick Boss.
My name is Rick Boss. I live at 711 North, 3Bs and K Road in Sunbury, the far northern reaches of the school district. Coincidentally, I guess, I looked at some of the things that Ms. Jenkins was discussing here in the 5-year budget. I looked at it mainly from a deficit standpoint. I wasn't looking at it so much from the cash balance. Basically what I see is the $5 million that's being saved in salary and benefits from the older budget to the one that has the newer changes, it reduces about a $10 million deficit in 2014 down to about $5 million. That's still a pretty significant amount of money. One of the things I think that's being ignored here when we talk about these budgets is the fact that revenues are going to be decreasing greatly in coming years, especially after 2014. The rate of increase is probably about 2% a year after 2014. I had assumed that the school board, when they evaluated these forecasts and the amount of revenues coming in versus the expenses they were incurring, made some effort to close this gap. But I gather that's really not the case. That you're not trying to make revenues and expenses come together, because the gap just keeps getting bigger. And in fact, in 2016, the gap is about $23 million. So I didn't realize it, I guess, until this moment that basically what you're saying is we'll have a new tax levy in either 2014 or 2015. You're saying, I guess, if you're successful, that you can push it out maybe a year with your savings and benefits cost. But I didn't realize until now that you're actually planning to have a tax levy at that time. Is that the case, or maybe I'm missing something here?
Why don't you finish your comments and then we'll have a
okay. The other thing, the other comment I wanted to make is that various people, and I just heard Ms. Jenkins say this too, that the growth is the driver of the budget increases, and I don't think it is. In 2016, based on the amount of enrollment and the amount of expenses, you'll for probably the first time go over $10,000 a year in per pupil spending. If you look at 2012 right now, it's only $9,000. What I'm saying here is I'm removing that growth component. And I hear people use this argument all the time, and it's kind of disconcerting. Because, yeah, growth is part of the equation, but it's not the big driver of budget increases. And I think the people out here should know that too. So anytime you hear that growth argument, just remember, we're spending about $9,000 a year per pupil now, and in 2016 we'll be spending about $10,000 a year per pupil. And if the board could set themselves a goal of keeping that ratio constant of per pupil spending, there would be no need for a tax levy. If you kept that $9,000 per pupil spending figure all the way until 2016, it wipes out that deficit. In 2016, wipes out the entire deficit, and you wouldn't have a need for a tax levy. This is just number crunching. This is just using a calculator. I didn't use any kind of sophisticated computer program or something. But I think you should be aware that if you could set yourself a goal now to keep that ratio constant, and there's no reason that you can't, there'd be no need for a tax levy. I'm just saying that could be done. I mean, basically what I would urge you to do is postpone this vote on this agreement. Because otherwise, well, like I say, it seems to me that you're just saying that you're planning for a tax levy in 2014 or 2015, and I wasn't aware of that until I saw some of the numbers tonight.
Your time is up.
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay, thank you for listening.
Does anybody have any clarifying comments?
I'd offer a couple of clarifying comments. So one, Mr. Boss is correct that we do cross over the 10,000 per pupil in 2016, so you're correct. So the spending per pupil grows at about 2.7% per year from 2012 to 2016, but the number of students grows at 4.1% per year. So we're actually, in terms of the the impact of growth on the budget, we're trying to mitigate it with expenses. So I agree, it's not the sole driver to some of our challenges, but it is a driver to some of the challenges. Most importantly, it's the revenue side where we're trying to more and more self-fund the growth challenge, because the state aid number and the amount of aid we get from outside the district shrinks in proportion to the pie over time. So to your point, we're trying to do the best we can managing expenses per pupil, growing at less than the rate the students are growing. But to your point, we also have a revenue challenge, not just local tax revenue, but state revenue as well.
Do you agree with me that I removed the growth component by using a per pupil spending figure? Your spending goes up regardless.
Well, there's inflationary pressure on the budget, that's correct.
There's inflation, I understand.
Absolutely.
Yes.
And we try to mitigate that with efficiencies. Yes, you're correct.
Thank you.
And let me add to that too, a clarifying statement that yes, when the campaign and the levy was voted on in May of 2011, there was a promise or pledge, if you will, from campaign materials that it would be a 3-year levy. Shortly after that levy vote, the board, and this would have been about 3 years ago, certainly 2.5 years ago, I don't quite remember, but
it was when, just this past fall.
Oh, I thought it was before that even. Well, the pledge was made by the board and the superintendent that the levy would be at least a 4-year pledge. And that is correct. We are looking at the potential for a May 15 levy request. And that's been planned ever since we increased the pledge from 3 years to 4 years. I was thinking it was earlier than that, but okay. Thank you.
Could I make one
Sure.
clarifying comment there? I appreciate your point because that's very much like coffee chat conversations that we've had, and I appreciate Kevin's analysis, from a number standpoint. But when you do the math, true. Enrollment isn't driving the whole piece, but when you take $9,000 at 1,000 new students per year, that's $9 million per year. 1 mil generates $3 million. So growth is actually, when you talk about taxpayer language, generating about 3 mils per year. Now, is that specifically? No, but that growth piece, it is a challenge for the school district. It absolutely is. And we talk about things like economic development and bringing more business in that would kind of alleviate the property owner. But you have the challenge. You hit the nail on the head, and I do appreciate your comments. And that is talked about on almost a daily basis. So thank you.
Yeah. And finally, I just want to reiterate what Ms. Jenkins said, is that there's still work to be done on the expense side.
Right.
Great. And I'll just add one more thing for anybody. Our superintendent, our treasurer's office are very open to people coming in with questions, comments. You're very welcome to make an appointment with Ms. Jenkins or anyone and have those conversations in a lot more detail with a lot more time. It's a very open door situation. Okay, board action items. We have
2 more speakers. You have 2 more speakers.
Do we? I'm sorry. Oh, you're right. Mr. Ruhlman, Bob Ruhlman.
Good evening. Bob Ruhlman, 1830 White's Court, Orange Township, taxpayer. It hasn't been talked about today yet, but may I make a brief comment on the athletic drug testing?
That's not
an action item. Sorry.
Not an action.
Okay.
It may be an action item at the June.
Fees are. Fees are, but not necessarily
not
drug testing.
Well, he's talking about turf.
No, drug testing.
No, he's talking about drug testing.
I misunderstood it. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
If it's a fee
so is that a
item,
yes
you
or
can
a no?
speak to it.
Yeah.
If it's a fee item, you can speak to it.
Yes?
Go ahead, Bob.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
You're not counting my time, are you?
Yes, it's true.
I still get 5 minutes, right? Okay, so my suggestion on the funding of the drug testing, if we were to go through with this proposal, is I think a funding request that hasn't been proposed before, at least I haven't read about it, and that is the following. Through a public information request, I found out that the Olentangy boosters repaid Jay Wolf's debt to the district of $4,000 plus. And I would like to submit that if the booster organizations have that kind of money that they pay for the drug testing of all the employees.
That's not a drug testing item. It's not a board action.
I'm suggesting the boosters pay for the drug testing of all the student athletes, because it feels like they have additional monies in their coffers.
Well, let's keep the conversation about whether a booster would have provided.
Okay, I'll just go to the 5-year plan.
Well, and also, we don't govern what the boosters spend their money on.
Right, I know, there's no financial oversight.
You'd have to take that issue to the respective booster groups.
Right, I'm just saying that there's other sources of funding.
The drug testing cost, specifically.
If that's what you're...
5-year plan. So as with the previous speaker, I'd like to ask for some additional financial transparency on the 5-year plan. Now, we've seen large numbers in terms of what the paybacks are, let's say health insurance and retirement benefits, but what are the components of that payback? Is there a premium increase that's offsetting a benefit? You know, or we're in essence seeing a net number. What is the gross number, gross to net number? And another example is, you know, I'm a degreed accountant, so I can most of the time follow this information. But there's, you know, this is just one example of where I just can't make the numbers work. So on page 7 of the budget presentation, the narrative that I don't know what page it is in the overall book, but there is a base wages table and a pupil teacher-student ratio table in there. And when you look at, and I've got additional copies of the board, for the board with my notes if you'd like. So fiscal year 2012 to 2013, our base wage, let me step back, that was something else. New staffing. So new staffing for 2012, the budget is $3.2 million, right? $32,51,911. Okay, the actual headcount increase from 2012 to 2013 at the bottom of this page is 1087 to 1108, or 21 FTEs headcount, whatever. When you divide out the 3.2 million by the 21 people, you get an average salary of $155,000. That's just impossible. We don't hire anybody at $155,000. So either the new staffing number is overstated or the headcount is understated. Now when you go to the next year, 2013, 1678,143 is the new staffing addition, 1108 headcount to 1147, or a 39 FTE increase. That average wage, $43,029. That makes sense. What doesn't make sense is FY12's number. And I would urge the board, similar if you were preparing a capital expenditure request and saying we're going to spend $10 million in the district and this is how we're going to spend it. List out the positions and maybe not salaries, list out the positions that you're planning to add and salary range and release it to the public. That would make this exercise a little bit more transparent. And I would also like to say on health insurance that 2 other items, that it wasn't stated here that the administrative folks that are non-contractual, would they be moving to the new plan as well? That wasn't stated, and I don't know if the savings include the administrative folks. And the other thing to add into the contract, unless it's going to be approved tonight, is something called a spousal surcharge, which is in a lot of private sector health insurance plans, including my own where I work, whereby if you have two workers, two incomes in a household, and one of them can get health insurance at where they work, and one could get health insurance at Olentangy. If they choose Olentangy, then there's a spousal surcharge on the Olentangy, so it's another way to generate cost recovery for the employer of choice, for the health care plan of choice.
Thank you, Mr. Ruhlman.
Thank you.
As a clarifying comment, I would like to say that in fiscal 12, we had 2 buildings open, Berkshire Middle School and Heritage Elementary.
And Mr. Hart, Tom Hardigan.
I was going to withdraw the comment simply because the turf issue, I thought I had heard through the grapevine that would be on the agenda. I realize that it's not going to be. I would simply say that in today's times and with the reduced funding from the state and seeing a district that may be running a deficit in 2014, you really have to look hard at spending $700,000 or $800,000 for turf.
It's not, the item's not on our agenda.
Okay, so I'll just withdraw that comment then. And I do want to say, I commend the school board, every one of you, and the superintendent. It's a tough job. The board's probably up to about $25 an hour right now in terms of salary, and I know that you take heat from both sides of the spectrum. So I do commend you. We live in a strong district, and I thank you for that.
Thank you, sir. Under board action items, we have 2. A is to approve the 5-year financial forecast, and B is to approve the 3-year agreement with the Olentangy Teachers Association, the period July 1, 2012 through June 30, 2015. Do you wish to?
I wanted to have one of the items separated out from the superintendent's action.
We'll get to that. We'll deal with the board first.
You'll see that when we get to the superintendent action item.
Board, then the treasurer, then the superintendent. So you can pull it out there.
So we're just doing these 2 right now.
Right, okay.
Okay. Just do these 2. All right. Can we a motion, please?
So moved.
We have a second?
Second.
Any discussion?
Yes, I just wanted to make a couple comments on the union agreement here, and the average Olentangy teacher salary is 10% higher than the average professor salary at Bowling Green when you look up the salaries on the Ohio Department of Education. And based on that, I would recommend a 10% cut across the board, and aim for a goal to reduce 10% of the taxpayer's obligation, just based on that one figure. My second comment was that the average Olentangy teacher salary has increased 50% over the last 10 years versus the average Olentangy taxpayer income, which has only increased 15% over the last 10 years. And my last comment on this is that just because the union says that we can raid our cash reserves doesn't mean that we should, just to force the contract. The contract is forcing another levy on the taxpayers, and it's setting us up for financial disaster. And based on the fact that we start operating at a loss without using our cash reserves in 2014, I'd recommend we just go with a 2-year contract. At least that would get us to the point where we can look at it again so that we stay out of deficit.
Other comments or questions? I'm going to make a comment, and I believe that I saw Ms. Eddy. Do I see you there, Elaine, sitting over there? Yes. I appreciate your comment in your press release in the newspaper, I think about a week ago, when you made reference to partnership. And Dr. Lucas spoke a few minutes ago to the same notion of partnership. Olentangy Schools is an extremely successful school district because we have strong relationships, as evidenced by the awards that were given out tonight, for one example, because of these partnerships. The institutions and the relationships and the volunteers and the students and the parents and those taxpayers who don't have children in the district. These partnerships work on so many levels to success. Tonight, it's about the partnership that, as both of you indicated, it's the partnership of our teachers with Olentangy schools. And I appreciate the work that the two negotiating teams put into this effort. I know that there was some significant time spent even before the formal negotiations began. I'm in support of this agreement because I look at it holistically. It is a package where any one of us might have some issue with a piece of the document or in its other context with other parts of the district. I look at this comprehensively and how it then in turn works comprehensively for the success of this district. We set early in the stage, especially in the formal negotiations from the board, that we had to commit to a 4-year pledge. And this agreement makes a significant step towards meeting that pledge. And as been pointed out earlier, there is still work to do. And I am very confident that that will succeed. So I just wanted to say again, thank you for the efforts that were made, and I am very supportive of the teachers and this agreement. So thank you. Any other comments? Would you take the roll, please?
Mr. O'Brien?
Yes.
Ms. Feasel?
Yes.
Ms. Dunbar? Yes. Mr. White?
No.
Mr. King?
Yes. Next we have treasurer action items.
Present treasurer action items A through E for approval.
Do you have a motion?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Discussion.
I want to point out that on the appropriation modifications, there is an increase of I think it's $725,000, and that is to increase the appropriations to purchase the buses that the board approved at the last business session.
I just wanted to again thank everyone who's listed on the donation list, those PTOs and individuals. We really appreciate the help that they give to our students.
Call the roll, please.
Ms. Feasel?
Yes.
Ms. Dunbar? Yes. Mr. O'Brien?
Yes.
Mr. White?
Yes.
Mr. King?
Yes. And superintendent's action items.
I ask to present superintendent action items A through Q with a reminder that we amended item 6, Michelle Cox, under section B.
This is where you would pull it out.
Okay, I wanted to remove separately for the graduates to approve them.
Okay.
To pull it outside of that, have a separate vote.
What is that number?
It's
Put in there.
Scrolling.
C? Yep, C.
C,
Yes, C.
okay.
okay.
So it's all items except C?
All items except C, correct?
Yep.
Okay.
Motion, please.
So moved.
Second.
Second.
Any discussion?
I had a question about maybe it's more of a comment, I don't know, out of the handbook for the elementary school. And it talks about inappropriate display of affection for elementary school children. And it says in there their students are not to hold hands or hug, kiss or demonstrate other similar acts of affection. I'm trying to figure out what they're getting at here for when we're talking about elementary school kids, if there's something we can change about this, because the hugging and holding hands seems a little silly to be in there for the elementary school level. If there's some way to pull that out of there. All the kids hug and hold hands at that level, and it's listed under Code of Conduct.
What page of the exhibit would that be?
It's 18 of 38, number 17.
18 of 38.
Number 17, it's right below the dress code at the top.
I think when Mr. Rafe presented the handbooks, he said that the language was cleaned up to be consistent across the handbooks.
Yes.
That was probably the reason for the change.
Just can't figure out. I think it should be, that one should be rude. I think could cause problems. Someone could use that against the kids because they were holding hands or hugging. It just seems kind of silly to put it in there.
Duly noted.
Other comments, questions? Call roll, please.
Ms. Dunbar? Yes. Ms. Feasel?
Yes.
Mr. O'Brien?
Yes.
Mr. White?
No.
Mr. King?
Yes. And
Asked to present Superintendent Action Item C for approval, please.
a motion, please.
So moved.
Second.
Second.
And discussion.
We will be there Saturday, June 2nd at the, I still call it the State Fairgrounds, but it's the Ohio Exposition Center, and Orange kicks off at 10, Olentangy goes at 2, and then Liberty closes the day up at 6 o'clock, and I know that I will be there shaking everybody's hands, so I hope that everyone else can make it if they can.
970 hands, now that I've gotten that count.
Let me just make a comment. You know, you mentioned shaking the hands. I remember the very first year when I was at the graduation, and it's such a wonderful opportunity to understand what our teachers and our principals and our administrators deal with every day. In just that quick moment of somebody walking across the stage, their body language, how they present themselves to you, the quickness. Some people can't wait to get across that stage. Others pause and look you in the eye. And it's just so interesting to understand all of the personalities that make up a school district. And it's a wonderful, wonderful opportunity. Did you want to say something, Adam, about it since you pulled that out?
I just didn't want to have that in there as a no vote, since I voted no on the other
Understood.
items.
Anything else? Please call the roll.
Ms. Dunbar?
Yes.
Ms. Feasel?
Yes.
Mr. O'Brien?
Yes.
Mr. White?
Yes.
Mr. King?
Yes. I believe that is it. May we have a motion to adjourn, please?
So moved.
Second? Who's the second?
You want to stay?
Wait a minute, did I hear? Second? Second. There we go.
Giving Kevin an opportunity.
Any thoughts? Roll, please.
Ms. Feasel?
Yes.
Mr. O'Brien?
Yes.
Ms. Dunbar?
Yes.
Mr. White?
Yes.
Mr. King?
Yes. Thank you, everyone, for your attendance this evening.